Good afternoon. We continue to follow that threat, that call that led to a massive police response at Adams City High School this afternoon. In the last half hour, students were allowed to leave the school after being on lockdown. A source tells 9 News this started as a threat to shoot up the school and blow up a bomb. Police say there were no injuries, they've made no arrests, and they have not found any weapons or a bomb. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. That threat and response, as you would imagine, created some very tense and scary moments for students and, of course, their families. Now a source is telling 9 News there is no evidence that that caller is real. This response started shortly before 1 o'clock at the school in Commerce City. It's located at Quebec Parkway and 72nd. 9 News reporter Steve Stager has been out there all afternoon from when this happened to when we got an all clear. Steve, you heard from sources and you talked to students as well.
Yeah, you know, Phil, we talked to people who were scared in those first few moments when there really wasn't a lot of information. When we got here, right around 1:30, there was a crowd of parents and a crowd of people from the neighborhood who had just made their way in front of the school and were watching this huge scene of police officers, as you can imagine, who would respond en masse to a situation like this. But like you mentioned, the source that we are talking to says this all started as a threat. That someone had called in and said they threatened to shoot inside the school, set off a bomb inside the school, and that source also tells me that they may have indicated that they had already shot someone. So you can imagine why the cops got here as quickly as they did. It's one of those situations where any officers who are anywhere nearby drop everything they're doing and get to the school as fast as they can. Then they have to go inside the building and clear room by room and make sure that there is no active threat. We talked to students who were inside the school at the time, doing what they've been taught their entire schooling life, to shelter in place, to get inside the classroom, to get down, to not make noise, and to basically hide as much as they can inside the classrooms. I spoke to one student, though, who said he was in the hallway when he found out about this, and he made a completely different decision.
I saw police coming in with guns, so I kind of got scared and I just ran out the school because I didn't want to get myself into danger or anything.
The good news is that just about 30 minutes ago, we watched a huge crowd of students make their way out of the school and reunite with all the people who were standing in front of the school for so long. Saw a lot of hugs. We were standing here with a parent who had been waiting and who had only heard from their daughter on their phone throughout this whole situation, heard how scared the daughter was, and we watched that parent make their way across the road here, run across the grass and give their student a giant hug. You can imagine the trauma that these kids who were just inside the school for as long as they were, going through the motions and understanding that there may have been an actual threat. You understand that kind of trauma, the kind of conversations they're going to have at the dinner table tonight. But the good news is our source telling us that they found no evidence of a shooting, no evidence of a bomb, and no evidence really of that the caller who had called in and made this threat was even inside the building or even a real person. For now, we're reporting live outside of Adams City High School. Steve Stager, 9 News.
Traumatic afternoon for everyone involved and the educators and everyone else. Thankfully, it ended as it did. Thank you, Steve. And of course, while this is happening, parents are left scared and worried, and they just want to put their hands on their kids, and they don't know what to do.
Oh, you hear the cliche, a parent's worst nightmare. This is actually it, sending your child off to school and thinking they may not come home. It's horrifying for parents and students. 9 News reporter Julissa Razari is at the scene, and she spoke with parents today who were as concerned as you would imagine. Julissa, they were understandably shaken up.
Yeah, you know, it was a really stressful day for a lot of these parents. When we arrived here, this frontage road was covered with parents just anxious and desperately wanting to physically see their kids. And about 30 minutes ago, those kids were released, and we saw these parents run across the way to just get a hold of their children. But let's show you some video from earlier today just so you can get an idea by how large this police presence was, because it was. And you know, a lot of the parents we spoke to say they were on the phone with their kids at that time, speaking to them as they were hiding in the classrooms. One 9th grader told her mom it all started during a passing period. Teachers came out of the classroom yelling for kids to get inside. A bunch of kids started running. Some even got into their cars and drove off. Now, that student just started at this high school 2 months ago, the one that told that story to her mom. This is what she had to say.
I was terrified when I seen the cops at first. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my worst nightmare that I never wanted to experience. And like I started tearing up, but then like it was pure silence. Like I didn't hear no gunshots, like nothing, no voices. It was just absolutely silent. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's fine, until I seen the updates, and then I got like more scared.
You know, despite all of this, Luna says she still wants to stay at this high school, and her mom says she'll allow it as long as she has a cell phone with her. Reporting live in Commerce City, Jaleesa Herbazari, 9 News.
So hard to hear that, and yes, like she said, you never want this to happen, and then when you see the police, it feels very real. You know, they have those scares every now and then, Jaleesa. They've heard of many of these false reports before, but when the police arrive, you know this is real.
Yeah, and that phone becomes a lifeline.
Yeah, thank you.
Jaleesa, thank you.
So we're going to switch gears, talk about the weather. A little bit cooler, definitely cooler. I'm sorry, I went for a walk with the dog, and I'm like, whoa. Get me a couple of jackets.
I was a little stunned when I went out this morning.
Yeah,
too.
there's a lot of wind. It came in overnight, and still we're expecting that wind to lead to elevated fire danger. Kathy, you're issuing a weather impact alert for tomorrow as a result.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kim, critical fire weather conditions are setting up, even with last night's cold front bringing rain and snow to parts of northern Colorado last night. It was wonderful to see, but certainly colder today. We're about to see a wind shift that will allow for temperatures to warm rapidly over the next 72 hours. Not a lot of wind today. Today's kind of our calm before the storm, if you will. We do have temperatures in the 40s and 50s this afternoon. A whole lot cooler with that north wind behind the front. And now the winds are shifting with gusty winds in northeastern Colorado and over elevated terrain. We expect the winds to ramp up out of the west, so Denver going under a red flag warning Thursday, and the foothills will see high wind warning criteria with damaging winds that could bring down trees and power poles with winds in excess of 80 and 90 miles per hour. So again, a scenario we don't want to see playing out, but we're in between two storm systems today. The temperatures will not be as cold tonight now that that front has moved away and the winds are shifting. We will talk much more about that critical fire weather, which will go Thursday, Friday, and Saturday ahead of a weekend storm that could bring mountain snow and then bring Denver a chance for showers. Boy, do we need it. And we'll have all those details in just a bit.
Very spring-like. It's up and down, up and down. So we'll talk to you more, Kathy. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office is investigating the death of a 5-year-old boy in Centennial, and investigators say the boy's 11-year-old brother is the suspect.
It's a tragic story. The Sheriff's Office says that the death happened Tuesday night at a home on South Jericho near South Himalaya Street and East Smoky Hill Road. That is where we find 9 News reporter Rhea Jha. And Rhea, deputies are still working to understand exactly what happened.
Yeah, investigators have been here all day. South Jericho Way, which is right behind me, has been closed off as investigators work this case. They've sent up multiple drones throughout the day, so they're definitely looking for something in this area. Sheriff's Office said that an 11-year-old child is now the suspect, the kid's brother, facing first-degree murder charges and is in custody. Deputies were called here Tuesday evening to this home on South Jericho Way. Investigators say the 5-year-old died at the home, and today confirmed the case is now being investigated as a homicide. Because both the victim and the suspect are minors, the Sheriff's Office say details about what exactly happened remain limited. We do know the 5-year-old was a kindergartner at Timberline Elementary School, which is just down the street here. One neighbor told us he often saw the two brothers playing outside together and fondly remembers the younger boy who would always knock on the door and ask for snacks or say hi.
Just very playful and very nice, always wanting to interact. A lot of times it was just him and his older brother. His older brother would never leave him alone, was always with him.
In a letter to Timberline Elementary School parents today, the principal said they would not be releasing the child's name and asked the community to honor the family's privacy. The school says additional mental health staff will be available for students and teachers as they process this loss. Now again, police have not released the cause of death of this 5-year-old as they are actively investigating this case. Reporting live in Centennial, Rhea Jha, 9 News.
Heartbreaking, devastating, no other words. Thank you, Rhea.
A hazmat spill in Aurora yesterday morning turned out to be something much less dangerous. The spill happened in the area of Chambers Road and Mexico Avenue. Aurora Fire says a pickup truck spilled liquid from containers that were labeled as corrosive and flammable. That's where the scare happened. So they blocked the road and called in the hazmat team. But after testing the liquid, it actually turned out to be old beer. The containers were in fact mislabeled.